Hello and welcome to PiddyCon 2, the return of the PiddyCon. Today's agenda will be just a little bit of some things. First and foremost, I will be presenting the Liquipedia team and a 2020 retrospective. This is the section where I will be showing you some graphs. Then Richie will be taking you through the alpha wikis. Fo will cover the dev side of things, and Yachts will go over some of our business plans and then head into the biggest topic there for now, which is the sports betting partnership and integration. After which we will have a question and answer section. So feel free to write down any questions you have about anything we're talking about today. And after those are answered, we hopefully will have even more time left for even more questions. Okay, let's hop into it. First presenter is me. And I usually call myself Salle, by the way. You can call me whatever. If it's Sal, I don't know. But the Swedish way of saying my nickname is Salle. So this is the team. Yeah, that's a quick section, I think. Actually, let me go into the specific people. So Thomas Quadriclown Huffert joined us in early 2020. He's a longtime Rocket League contributor, and he built a score updating tool. He's hired as a backend developer, and he's working on making the new brackets and match system. Laura Elisania van Helfort, I hope I said that right. My Dutch is still not that great. She's our front-end developer, and she built the filter buttons and new uploader, and she's working on other improvements for accessibility and other user-facing features, which Alex will get into a little bit in his section. Also, Ali Yakstak, who is our business manager for Liquipedia, and since he will be presenting, I will share some fun facts instead. He's born in Duisburg. He lives in Utrecht, but he's British. Anyways, he commentates Forza Esports, and then we have Lost Vogan, Jasper van Riet, sorry. He's a former Rocket League pro player. He is one of the founding contributors on the Rocket League wiki, and he's a mobile developer for us. So I'll get on to the retrospective. So last time I presented, and I have shared this as a random stats of the day thing, is the traffic share per day for device types. And this is mobile versus desktop pretty much. And the trend has been up until this year that mobile is increasing, desktop is decreasing. However, 2020 was a special year in a lot of ways. A lot of us are working from home or studying from home instead of going to other places and moving about, where we would be more on our phones. So we can see the trend that was going to cross over this year bounced back, and instead we have more of a nutcracker graph. Some callouts, though, is we can see the TI 7 and 8 are peaks. The more casual events or the bigger the events seems to draw more mobile attention, and especially TI 9 was the first time we had a day with more mobile traffic than desktop traffic. On to some growth. So the traffic sources, I think I brought up last time as well. Google is our main traffic source for the wiki. And this is relative. So this is just Google's share of total, not the trend of Google. So Google actually lost 4% points in the share of total traffic, but in actual traffic, it grew 3%. The other one is direct, which has been growing very rapidly, and it's gained 4% points of the share of total traffic. And that's a 34% absolute growth. There is, however, some Twitch traffic in here, which is both true for 2019 and 2020, since Twitch has stopped like how they report links outgoing from their sites. Other callouts is YouTube, where we have had more than a doubling of their traffic to us, which is only 0.6% point growth, but still. And Twitter, which has a 62% absolute growth, or a 0.2% point growth. Contributions have been decently steady over the years. We can see that in 2019, we made a big leap, and then 2020, not as big. I think that could be due to the team templates maker going live and not making a massive amount of templates anymore. Not 100% sure. There's also a little bit of extra data in here, which is the Phobot data is all in this graph as well, which started in 2015, but it's not more than around 40% of all of the edits since then. So the trend is still correct, if you get my drift. But sadly, I can't get a more accurate data representation for now on this. But 20% more growth in 2020 compared to 2019. It's a pretty big jump still. And then we have the traffic. So as you can see, it's a very steady growth year over year, the last 5 years, which we're very happy about. It's a little bit downturn in 2020 compared to 2019's growth. It's only 13% or only 13% growth. It's not too weird considering that there was like 100 plus something tournaments that canceled or went online instead of being offline. That's what drives most of our traffic, and without big events, we don't seem to be taking in a lot of external new traffic. But one of the cooler data points I've been starting to track lately is the amount of wikis with over 1 million traffic per month. It's an arbitrary number that I just picked, but it's a round nice number. And if we look at this, you can see that it was 3 wikis in 2015, namely Dota, SE2, and Counter-Strike. That went up in 2017 to 4. Then it took to 2019 until we got 7. And in 2020, we increased again with 3 more wikis to 10 total. And that's probably a lot thanks to the Alpha Wiki program, which is a good segue because now we're going to have Murillo Richie talk about the Alpha Wikis.
Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to PiddyCon 2. Now it's me, Murillo, or most of you probably know me only by Richie. And I'm going to talk a bit about the Alpha Wikis in general, give you some background on this. And wrong slide. There we go. Starting with Valorant. So I'm going to start talking about new Alpha Wikis that were installed in 2020. And I'm going to do it chronologically. So Valorant was the first one we installed early in March 2020. So basically, Riot Games in general is a place where we really want to set our name in. So we started obviously with League of Legends, and as soon as we heard about Project A, which is now Valorant, it was very it was a no-brainer for us that we wanted to install it and make it a thing. And actually, we wanted to be the best of its kind in the community. So we went straight ahead. I think it was very easy for us in general because we happen to have a Counter-Strike wiki, which has a good chunk of templates and modules that are already in place and working really well. Shout outs to Counter-Strike contributors. And the games are very similar in general, so just bringing templates and things in general from Counter-Strike to Valorant was, at least on paper, very easy. So we got the wiki installed. I spent some time making sure everything was set up properly, templates were being used correctly, modules were being used correctly. Also making sure we were not bringing templates from, let's say, League of Legends to Valorant wiki, so we would have compatibility issues with templates brought from Counter-Strike. Anyways, even before having actual competition, we had the wiki set, and we were putting effort on game-related content as agents, maps, and I think nowadays it is in a really good spot. It is probably one of the best websites for Valorant. Well, I'm biased, but in my opinion, it's the best website out there for Valorant. And yeah, that's it for Valorant. Moving on, we have Free Fire. Free Fire was also an interesting wiki. We start seeing some viewer numbers for tournaments and streams in general. Was bringing a lot of attention of a lot of people. Actually, it was mentioned perhaps about from esports charts and other websites, and it was something that I initially saw, and I happen to be Brazilian, so I know the Brazilian community is crazy about Free Fire, and so I started talking with contributors, active contributors, some people from PUBG Mobile and Hesketh, which is our Thai staff. And initially, we didn't have much interest in the game. So it was an idea that was mostly just kept aside. It was like, oh, it is really cool, but we don't really have people interested for it, so why install a wiki, right? Another concern we had is Free Fire is most of its community is based in Brazil and SCA regions, so we were a bit concerning about having an English website for the game, that perhaps it wouldn't work properly. But then Garina got in touch with us. I actually don't know how to pronounce the name properly. It's Boiji. Contact me directly, and we start talking about the game and the esports scene for it. And they were basically talking with us saying, hey, Liquipedia is really cool, and we have an issue within our esports ecosystem where we have tournaments in different countries and regions, and we have websites for them, and they are all in their local languages. So we don't actually have an English hub to provide all the information. So their idea was basically, oh, let's work with Liquipedia and set up a English hub with all the content that we can present to the community. So with that, even though we didn't really have interest from the community, we got it installed. I started helping with templates. Hesketh actually did a massive work with setting up a big bunch of pages for the wiki. And nowadays we have Cabra Forte that is putting a lot of effort in making sure it's going forward. Probably a bit biased with the content because there's a lot of Brazilian stuff, and he's also Brazilian. But anyways, I think it's going really well. So if you haven't checked the wiki, I recommend you and get to know a bit about this community. It is actually really interesting. Moving on, we have Age of Empires. I see some people from Age of Empires community in the chat, so this might be interesting. So yeah, Age of Empires started with, it was in the end of 2019. I had initial talks with Marcio and Roboboro from the community. Marcio is a guy that, well, both of them really like Age of Empires esports in general. But if I'm not wrong, they are both from AOE Zone. which is a big website in the community. And Marcio also spent a bunch of time adding tournaments on esports earnings. And they were like, wow, Lycopedia is actually a lot cooler than esports earnings, and it would be really cool to track all of this in a wiki for Age of Empires. And that was the initial talk. The initial talk actually didn't go forward too much. It didn't really work at the first time. So after a while, the topic cooled down a bit. So the project was kept aside. But then mid 2020, I think around May or June, Neely, also from the community and one of the active players, I think nowadays he's even signed for an organization, if I'm not wrong, you guys can correct me, reached out to me again about the wiki. And actually this time they were a lot more proactive, because with the initial talks, they already even started a Discord server and starting setting up a lot of discussions. And quickly we had a lot of template ideas in place. We had assets in a Google Drive, so we could easily find any sort of asset that we would need to set up or use on the wiki. We also set up a basic notability guideline, some guidelines even before the wiki was in place. So all in all, it was a really good progress with the game and with the wiki. It got installed and it grew a lot. It is actually something that is kind of crazy in my point of view, at least, because before I didn't even know Age of Empires had an esports scene, and the numbers actually surprised me every time I check them, and it's really cool. I'm really happy that we managed to make it a thing. And last topic here, and last wiki that got installed is Wild Rift. Personally, there's nothing much to mention about this. It is in a very similar space as Valorant. It is also a Riot game, so we want to, as I said, we want to have build our name in the scene, or in among Riot games in general. So as soon as we heard about it, we knew we wanted to install it. We had some initial discussions because we were thinking if it would be interesting to have it together with League of Legends. However, it was decided that we wanted a separate wiki for it, and in my opinion, I'm very happy that we made this decision, because in my opinion it is very, very different. One game is very different from the other. So yeah, similar to Valorant wiki, setting up Wild Rift is in general fairly easy, since we have all the templates in place for League of Legends. So yeah, I think it is. It recently got promoted, and I think it is going well. And actually, promotion is the next topic I'm going to talk about. Promotions in general for wikis. Oh wow, it is. Before I go for this, so first we have these the icons for the wikis that got promoted in 2020. We have Valorant and Age of Empires that were both of them were installed in 2020, and both of them are already main wikis, which is really amazing, actually. I can be biased about the Valorant once again because I spent a bunch of time working there. But anyways, it was a really good progress for both of them. Also, actually, I need to thank both Full and Armabot for helping me with Valorant because I kept on bugging them all the time to help with modules. So even though they didn't directly make the edits, they helped me a lot with the promotions for Valorant. So yeah, I thought it was nice to mention them. Then we had Free Fire, Wild Rift, Call of Duty, Pokemon promoted from pre-alphas to alpha wikis. And just a TLDR, pre-alphas to alphas are basically, you have the structure in place, so it is easy for new people to come and start working on the wiki, and they have everything in place, and it's easy to copy paste and set up new pages and start building from that. So there's not many broken templates and things that they wouldn't need help from staff or more experienced people to progress in. That's basically the main difference between the two. And yeah, on the right side we have the new banner. I thought it would be cool to add new twice, but anyways, it was an idea that came with the Valorant promotion. We wanted to showcase that we had a Valorant wiki in place. So someone suggested that, and we added the new banner to the wiki. Right now we are also using the new banner for Alpha Wikis promotions as well. And yeah, it is going to, every time we promote a wiki, we're gonna display that, and it is remaining on the banner on the main part of our website for a certain period of time. Still talking about promotions, I'm gonna talk a bit about the criteria that I check when a new promotion happens or before a new promotion happens. I think this is a topic that is very confusing, and a lot of people still ask me a lot about this. So these are the main things that I check, but each wiki, I want you guys to keep in mind that each wiki is a different case. So I could be checking different things or like minor criteria, I would say. So first part is active contributors. I think a lot of these bullet points that I'll mention here are very straightforward. So there's really no reason for us to promote a wiki if it doesn't have active contributors, or if the active contributors is a small number. So I actually keep on track of active contributors and number of edits weekly. So I keep on checking trends and whether the number of contributors is growing or going down, and so on. Next point, content quality. So another point that it is sort of a no-brainer. We want to have pages created in a certain pattern and standard. So just making before promotions, I ensure we have contributors working and setting up things properly, and I want to make them praise for quality, and not only praising for quality for top tier related pages, like top tier players or top tier tournaments, but also for lower tiers events. Just making sure everything is on a standard and looking nice and easy to go through, read the page. Next point is quantity. So along with quality, I also check if, in general, the coverage on the wiki is good in terms of amount of pages, amount of player pages, team pages, tournament pages, and once again, just making sure we have not only tier 1 coverage, but also lower tiers coverage, so we have a good grasp of everything that is going on within that title in esports. Another topic, overall progress. No matter how old your esports title is, every esports title has a story to tell or a timeline. So let's say we install, for example, Age of Empires. I think it is very important for us before promoting any wiki is that we don't have holes in the story of the game, and we're not missing any big event that happened in previous years. So another point that I'm going through, before promotion, I'm gonna try, and of course I'm not an expert in every title, so I'm gonna check and study the story of that game and read about top events and make sure we have those events set on the wiki, and once again making sure we have them in quality and quantity. And yeah, and the last one here is community engagement. And when I mention community, I don't really mention like community as a whole, but Liquipedia community related to that game, if that makes sense. So in general, just we have, let's say we have pages, we have them in a good quality, we have them in good quantity, and we have active contributors. But if these contributors are basically unreachable, so they are not part of Discord, they don't reply to talk pages, we have no idea where they are on Twitter, that's something I make sure to that is not happening. Like it is a factor for me to make sure a wiki is ready for promotion, because if anything happens, I need to be aware of what is going on, and I need to talk with these people to make sure, let's say it's a big mistake, I need to talk with them for this big mistake not to happen again. So yeah. And yeah, and these are the major criteria, as I said. There could be some smaller or minor criteria involved. For example, we have Paladins wiki, and we have a Paladins wiki, and recently they announced they are not supporting the esports scene for 2021, and that is also a big factor for me to be concerned about promotion for the wiki, because the Hyrex, the publisher, is not actively pushing the game as an esports title anymore. So yeah, it is also a factor. Moving on, perhaps a topic that people are more interested in is X wiki when. It's a sentence that people say all the time. So yeah, there are some new things that I'm planning or have been planning for a while, to get these new potential wikis in place, and just like making sure we have a better space for new people and new things coming up in general, and one of them being documentation. I think it's I think it's no surprise for anyone that documentation on Wikipedia is lacking a bit. So I want to go through and making sure documentation is in a better place and people can actually be a bit more self-taught and don't depend on asking others on Discord for help. So improving documentation in general. I also, I don't know how much time I have actually, but I also want to try and make more tutorials in general, which I believe are part of documentation. And then we have social interactions. Social interactions are actually happening already. We periodically make Reddit posts and try to use the Twitter account to bring interest to people. So yeah, it's just when I think we need to, or me personally, need to improve with these social interactions and make them more frequent, so they take more effect on the wiki side of things. So yeah, improving on social media. And the last thing that is also already happening is what I call super secret channels. Basically for potential wikis is, I basically set up a channel on our Discord. This channel is hidden by default, so only staff and people that are invited to those channels can see it. And similar to how it was done with Age of Empires, where we had a chat and we were discussing things, we were discussing how we want things to be in place. If people are experienced with MediaWiki already, or anything, pretty much anything that it is interesting for us to set up and do basic things on the wiki, those channels are going to be used for that purpose. Yeah, right now I can tell you that we have two super secret channels, one for Clash of Clans and one for Star Wars Squadrons. So yeah, I've been talking a bit with those communities, and they are the first ones that I'm trying this new method for new potential wikis. And these are one of the few titles that people have been suggesting and requesting wikis for. There are a massive amount of titles that people ask for, and I get like people fill the form very frequently and for a lot of titles. And yeah, I just basically wanted to summarize and mention the most requested ones. And that's it for me. For the next topic, we are going to move perhaps to a one of the most interesting parts of the presentation, which is development, and Fo is going to take over. And thank you very much.
Well, I'll suppose you'll see me in a bit. I'll talk a little about development and the development team, aka the people that have to deal with Salih's crazy ideas. I'm Fontax, as you might see on the slide. And I'll first talk a little bit about what we do. Obviously, a lot of you are aware of some of that. Obviously, we build new extensions, so new tools of all sorts. We make sure that we get bugs fixed that are in the extensions we have already, also in other pieces of code that we have. We make sure that we can do this for a long time coming. We don't want to risk maneuvering ourselves into a corner. We definitely want to make sure that this will work for the foreseeable future. We are preparing our platform for other upcoming projects that we will have in the future. Not all of that is necessarily quite visible. I know that staffers who see our Git log do have a bunch of information on that, but not all of that is necessarily quite publicly known yet. In 2020, we've helped with the Liquid Hacks hackathon and had a Liquipedia category in there. So that was super interesting. We got a bunch of really interesting applications of data that is in Liquipedia. And of course, our most important task of them all, we tell Salih's ideas are crazy because quite honestly, more often than not, they are. As you know, and you've probably seen earlier, we've been expanding the team. There's more developers now than we've ever had before. At the moment, we're looking to probably hire even more developers. Some of that will be visible over the year. We haven't quite made a decision yet, but things are going decently well for the dev team. So there's that. Hopefully, this means we can increase the speed at which we build new features. I mean, we've had a pretty decent performance in 2020 already, but we're looking to get even faster with new features, build more things as well, and we're really looking forward to that. And not only do we want to build what the dev team thinks is cool, we also want to hear your maybe crazy ideas about what we should be building, so Salih doesn't quite feel as alone with this craziness. And maybe we can make some of that stuff happen. New extensions, I'll go through that real quickly because most of that is already stuff that you've seen. This is a non-exhaustive list of what we've done in 2020. There's other things, but those are like the highlights in my opinion anyways. We've released a new team templates extension. Eric has mentioned it earlier. That particularly means a lot more nicer special page, particularly if you're editing on mobile. It also made everything a bit more nicer on the database side of things. Stream page improvements, that particularly means we made it possible for contributors to build those things like head-to-head statistics under the streams on the stream page. There's a bunch of features we've seen on a bunch of different wikis, and personally, I felt like that was very interesting to watch. The new wiki menu, I mean, a lot of you will have seen it. If you click on the Liquipedia word in the top menu, or if you've done at one point anyways, you'll see there's like a colorful menu now that will have all the links to this page on other wikis, the main wikis, the alpha wikis, the pre-alpha wikis even, which we've never had this prominent before. Charts extension, you might have seen it on some wikis already. We made an extension that allows you to have graphs of sorts. That's pie charts, that's line charts, that's bar charts. There's like all kinds of interesting things that can be done with this, and definitely something we'll be looking forward to see even more of in the future. We made a new upload tool. It hasn't been too prominently placed quite yet. If you haven't yet, please make sure to try it out and give us feedback on it. We haven't heard particularly much on it. However, sometime in 2021, we definitely look into make it the default uploader for people because at the moment we still have certain issues with uploads that are like don't have proper license information and stuff. And we just kind of want to make that easier for contributors. Brackets, I mean, you might have heard it earlier when Eric was doing the introductions. We are working on a new bracket system. It hasn't been rolled out quite as much yet as I had hoped to have it at this point of the year. But the rollout has started on Rocket League. There's still a bunch of things that have come up and we're working on those. Eventually, this will obviously go to all wikis and hopefully make everything a lot more sane. We rolled out a new skin, not much to see there, but on the code side, it made everything a lot more clean. We added the currency exchange functionality. Unfortunately, not quite all the currencies we come into touch with are quite supported by it yet, but who knows, maybe at some point we can add more currencies to it. We made a short URL generator, which is particularly interesting for things like the head-to-head statistics page, where URLs just get very, very long due to all the parameters to it. We remade our icon font to work constantly. We used to have issues with that in the past, where sometimes the different icon fonts we had would scale in different ways on different devices. So we've like made that consistent across all of our icon fonts, which is very nice. Looks a lot more clean. We remade the countdowns, made like a proper countdown template, which we also hadn't before. It was a real mess before, so I was pretty happy about getting that done. We remade the backend for the tiers. We made the filter buttons that are already on a bunch of wikis, on the main pages in particular. We added an extension for affiliate links, a nice little like side income for Wikipedia, which allows us to like hire developers, which obviously benefits everyone. We added the image tools extension. A lot of that has been in other places before, but at this point we like realized we have so many image-related things that at this point it really made sense to have a dedicated extension for it. We added more anti-spam tools, something that particularly staff will have seen. And then we had a bunch of game API integrations. Notably, we had PUBG, we had Valorant, we had Runeterra, and we remade the Dota 2 extension because that one was a little bit dated, and we're pretty happy getting that done. Now, all of that is 2020. Obviously, the more interesting thing is what happens in the future. And I have some of that stuff in here as well. Again, not an exhaustive list, just stuff that we're pretty confident will happen sometime in 2021. There will obviously be other things as well, but I'll just go over this real quickly. More game integrations, particularly League of Legends, will be coming soonish. We also got our hands on Apex Legends, which we're thinking about integrating as a game API. We found that and thought it was very interesting because it's like a different type of game. It's been a bit complicated though. Achievement system version 2. Some of you might have seen that the old achievement system has been lagging out. Sometimes we've had issues with user ranking, for example. Doesn't work on all wikis anymore because the wikis are just too big for our old system, so we're remaking that. The notifications for live streams is a feature that we've been thinking about for a while. For example, the idea would be here, if you go to a player page and that player page has a Twitch link, we would have a little notification next to that Twitch link that is like, hey, the stream is live right now. Why don't you watch that stream? Stuff like that. The what links page is obviously something that a lot of editors will know, but it has certain limitations at the moment, particularly for comments templates. So we've been building a second what links page for global usage, and that hopefully helps us with tracking template usage from comments templates across all the different wikis. More Wikipedia DB tables. That's already been starting in late 2020, but it's obviously going to continue. As some of you might have seen, we want to get rid of Semantic Media Wiki as we can. and some of that functionality will be replaced with more Liquipedia DB functionality. New Media Wiki version, something we've been working on for a while. Unfortunately, there's been a bunch of blockers that we haven't been quite able to fix yet, but this is going to come sometime soon. Dark mode skin, one of the most requested feature all across the board. So that's going to happen. We're going to make a dark mode version of Liquipedia. As you know, there's a lot of stuff that has to like work for this to happen. Eventually, we're going to have to like talk to a lot of people, and like we'll have to update team logos and stuff. So that's like a lot of work. We have like a beta version of it. It's just not quite ready yet. New landing page, so Liquipedia.net, the page that was on the screenshot from Richie earlier when he was talking about the new tag. This page has been serving us for a while now, and we've come to a point where we have so many wikis where it's getting a bit more complicated. Also, we want to do better on things like accessibility. So it's something that is going to get a new version at some point in 2021. We do want to A/B test that for a bit, so that is why it hasn't been there shown yet. But look forward to seeing that at one point in 2021. And also a popular one, we want to make it so people can create Liquipedia accounts directly on Liquipedia. That is both with email and password, and also with social logins, so like Twitter and Facebook and Battle.net, like the options that we have on TLNet. So we're looking to add that directly to Liquipedia, just so it's a little bit easier for users. As I said, this isn't like an exhausting list. There's going to be more features that we'll have across the year. As I said, we do want to hear your ideas as well. So some of your ideas will probably make it onto that list at some point or another. And that's that. Other than that, obviously, Liquipedia has been working on updates, and that is both maintenance and security. Particularly, we've been like updating our media wiki versions across the year. Definitely been putting an effort to like make that happen in a timely fashion whenever there were updates available. Unfortunately, this of course does sometimes mean that other things are getting pushed a little bit down the line. We definitely feel like security is the most important thing, and it's more important than new features. So it's just something that sometimes messes with our plans. So unfortunately, a necessity that we can't avoid. And we haven't just done that across Liquipedia itself. We've done that in like the wider media wiki version. So we've been like working not just with our own extensions, we've also been working with other people's extensions that we're using on our website. And just been like trying to work together with other groups to work on that. This particularly includes extensions like Page Forms, Semantic Media Wiki, where we've been helping out, and a bunch of others. Particularly interesting also in terms of updates is we've been working with Wiki Apiary it's like a statistics service for websites, for wikis in particular. So we've been working with them so they can index even more websites than they've ever could before. Something we've been helping them doing, and whilst we were at it, we've also been helping them fix a bunch of other bugs they had. That's pretty much it from me, and I'll give it over to our business manager, Ali, who will talk a little bit about business things.
All right, thank you, Alex. While I fiddle with doing screen stuff at the same time as talking, it's really nice to be able to speak to all of you guys. I joined the team last year. There you go. I got there with button clicking. It's really nice to be able to speak to all of you guys. I joined the team late last year, and haven't really had a chance to sort of get into the Discord flow yet. So it's nice to be able to have a moment now to say hi. I'll start with just a little bit about who I am. I come from Forza Esports, where I've been working for a few years. I have a dog, and she has a wet little nose, like in that photo. Other things, yeah, include being on Discord. As I said, you guys can always contact me if you want to chat. My tag is YAACHTS. And so, yeah, I'm around. A couple of things I've been involved with since starting off. One of them is the hackathon, which is was a fun thing to start off with. A great competition, lots of cool ideas came through, and we put a little bit of money behind it to help out with the prizes, and it was a real privilege to be able to do that. Obviously, Liquipedia has a pretty amazing community. That's just, I think a known fact around esports, and being able to have a community that not only contributes to the wikis, but also does stuff like putting little programs together during a hackathon is just amazing. Another thing is affiliate linking. I've got actually a slide on that in a second, so I guess I'll save the long talk about that and for that slide. Before that, I figured I would have a page on sort of what the business team do. There's a bunch of different areas that we sort of go into. In general, there's Liquipedia obviously is a community sort of contributed website. It's grown organically and grown really, really big, and to be one of the biggest voices in esports. So one of the things you kind of have to make sure is that the stuff we're doing already is healthy stuff, is good stuff that suits our ethos, that is Liquipedia. So there's that side of things. There's also the side of things which is developing new stuff, new opportunities that we're not yet pursuing, and stuff that fits in with who Liquipedia are. So that's the very general side. More detailed, that stuff that lives within business is revenue and strategy. That's building ways to make money, PR and marketing, sort of having some kind of thought about who we want to appear as out in the world. The hackathon, I guess, fits into that kind of stuff, but also we'll be chatting at an InVen conference later on in the month, so you guys can look forward to that if you're able to get into the InVen conference. And then also partnerships and sales. This is stuff like talking to other companies and working out ways that we can work together. I'll say that there's a lot of learning around all of these different things at the same time. We had a really good learning experience last year with putting using the Valorant wiki for a partnership, and we've definitely got some good experience from that. Didn't get everything right the first time, but it's all about making sure that you learn when you don't get things right, and move forward from there. So yeah, we've got a cool little sort of selection of stuff that business deals with. Next up is gear linking. This is kind of like a slightly deeper look at one of the things we started off doing. I guess we kicked it off in December of 2020. It's been running for a little over 2 months now, and yeah, it's been interesting. You can see there the before and after, sort of what the thing is. We took the gear links that were the gear references and content that were already on the wiki and slapped a link onto them, saying, "Hey, if you guys are coming here to see which hardware Shroud is using, here's a link to go and buy it. And if you click on that link, then we get a small commission on it." As Alex said earlier on, it's been a nice sort of small side earner for us. And, it's also been a test, to be perfectly honest, on the Counter-Strike wiki only. And one which has been really useful, actually. I think the biggest takeaway was talking to the community before launching. We had some really good feedback from staff around it, and that really, really helped shape what the product was when we actually went live with it. We made sure that there were disclosures, which made sure that people knew what we were up to on the website, which is super important. Alongside that, we're sort of looking at adding more gear content to the wikis at the moment, and thinking about that a little bit. And it's something we're thinking a lot about. So in general, watch this space. And I think I'm keeping it really brief on the business side of things, if I'm honest. I mostly just wanted to say hi. You guys are super welcome to come and reach out to me and chat on the Discord. I'm about and keen to get to know people. The main topic I'm going to talk about is basically gear linking is one of my really big things I'm focusing on at the moment. There's a second really big thing I'm focusing on at the moment, which is betting integrations and this kind of stuff. This focuses on one of the things. There's loads of stuff that obviously that Liquipedia does incredibly well. Obviously, it's a huge website. It's grown organically. It's lots of interesting content. But there are areas I think that could improve. And I think one of the areas that could definitely improve is how we deal with sports betting at the moment. So we can quickly summarize what's going on with sports betting right now. On the one side, there's match fixing problems on the site with people putting content that is not correct, bad actors on the wiki. Knocking those down is a bit like whack-a-mole right now, with people just creating new accounts. And so we're trying to find a system to beat that. At the same time, we have display campaigns for betting partners running in a lot of regions, and we don't really have the safety built around those at the moment to be able to protect people who sort of need to be protected from betting ads. So that's people like minors, people like people who have vulnerabilities towards gambling. So we need to strengthen up our on-site safety around that. Thirdly, we have our API. The SMW API is a interesting thing when you look at sort of all the people who kind of pull data from it. It's quite serious, actually. I'm laughing, but it is serious because people essentially use our data to fuel betting odds, this kind of stuff. And it's not something that we support. It's actually something we don't allow as part of our T's and C's. But without a registration process on our API, which isn't something we can easily put onto it, it's not something we can stop happening. So sorting out a new API is also something that comes into this. I will add, I think that the esports space right now is struggling a little bit with betting. There's a lot of money coming in from betting, and that's really great. But working out how to safely make those kinds of deals and then work with betting companies a way which suits the ethos of esports, which is very fair. It's all about having fun with some healthy competition involved as well. I think people can do better, and as one of the bigger voices in the space, Liquipedia I think should be doing better. That's what we want to do. So that's what this section's about. What are we going to do to make this better and to do better with it? So what we need to do better, right? Well, we've seen a few problems there. How can we solve them, right? Firstly, safety on the site. We need on-site additions to the website to help out there. Preventing match fixing requires some kind of user verification system potentially, or data partners to help out, tell us which additions are not correct on the wiki. Also, stronger enforcement. We need to change the way that we select betting partners, and potentially have fewer partners, but have better relationships with them and have more trust involved in those relationships. Further along, APIs. Like I said, a new API wouldn't hurt. And underpinning all of this, of course, is needing budget to make those kinds of projects a possibility. There's also, a whole bunch of other unrelated to betting projects which also require budget. So, there's as we discuss betting, as we discuss our plans around it, I wanted to, get out there pretty explicitly with it that there's also other stuff here which it would be great to be able to add to the wiki, but we need money to be able to do that. Okay, so this is the plan. This is what we're thinking about. It's a new alliance. It's working in part with betting partners who meet very, very high criteria. There's a very, very short list of partners who we would consider for this, straightforwardly. Those are partners who operate internationally. They have multiple gambling commissions who they work with. And most importantly, and this is something that is sort of very key in the way that we were discussing with partners, they share our values. They share Liquipedia's values and community values and thoughts about safety as well. And so that's really been super important, and that's been something that we've been trying to build at the over the past few months. Another side of things, we're looking to partner up with more people in the industry, in the esports space, to get better data sharing, especially. ESIC have all sorts of, controversy around a few of their different choices and a few of the punishments they've handed out. But we're planning on working with them on something which I think is completely uncontroversial, which is that betting shouldn't be something which is manipulated by teams or by bad actors in the space in general. And so we'll be working with them, data sharing and helping out, making sure that that idea of whack-a-mole, will be locating people on our wiki who are making their own decisions and sending off their details to ESIC to make sure that they're seen to by ESIC and of course by ESIC's wider network of tournament organizers and other such people who can essentially make sure that they don't sort of continue to make the space a little worse than it should be. Finally, we're looking to be leaders in on-site safety, and this is really talking about the features that I mentioned earlier. geo-tracking, making sure that our adverts aren't appearing in the wrong countries. Also, working out a way to make sure that under 18s aren't seeing our adverts. I'm going to talk more actually about safety features later, so I'll kind of put that on ice for now. But we'll mention it a lot more. All right. So the next thing is like, okay, we've got this picture, we've got this alliance we're forming, we've got this thought about doing better in betting. How do we do it? And then it's like immediately our thoughts went this way. I'm sure your thoughts do too. You kind of start thinking, well, we don't want Liquipedia to turn to HLTV, right? And I don't mean to say this in a way which is like negative to HLTV. Obviously, everything that they do is really impressive. They're a huge website in the space. But the approach that suits HLTV just doesn't suit Liquipedia. It's not the same site. It's not similar necessarily either. And so I wanted, first of all, to start off by talking about HLTV, talking about really, a website that does a lot of betting, and break down a little bit all of the betting that you'll see on their website. And so we can start making a comparison between how we're looking to deal with this and how HLTV deal with this. I think that's really important. It's good context to have. And you can see there's a number of different elements here. I think skins betting is particularly one that we're not very interested in, because I think skins betting appeals to a very young audience of people who want to engage with gambling. Not necessarily something we're so interested in. Just the number of adverts here on the page as well is not something which I think would suit Liquipedia. Also, you'll see that there's odds from a large number of different companies all stacked up there in the center. And that's really something that we're not so interested in. I don't think odds comparison is a market that Liquipedia is very interested in being a part of. But also, obviously, you can't guarantee, when we were talking about earlier about having a high bar, a high barrier for people to come and work with us. When you have 21 different betting companies there, they're not all going to be equally trustworthy. And I don't know that there are 21 different companies in the betting space who would operate at the level that we would be interested in working with. Anyway, I'm pointing this out, as I say, again, not to be critical of HLTV and what they do, but actually to say, we're finding our approach. We're looking at the market and working out the best way to do this for Liquipedia in Liquipedia's way. And this is what we settled on. This is what we were this is what we settled on here. Looking at essentially adding a betting partner to our upcoming matches feed. This would be a single partner, a very, very trusted partner, and a single partner per page, I should say. So it's not a comparison. It's not about listing things up. And it's about integrating it in the right way. There's no in-game odds. So what that means is the odds don't fluctuate as the game continues, which is a very specific niche in sports betting. And also it's quite a subtle application, I think, if you compare it to how our competition in the space do this. My final note on this mock-up is it is exactly that, a mock-up. As you can see underneath there, it's just something which illustrates the kind of approach we might go for. It's a leading thought for us right now, so it's not just a sketch or whatever. It is, we're quite serious about it, but the project is ongoing, so things may change. And more on that as well, how the project is going to go forward and how much visibility we want to have about that. That's something that we want to be talking to the community about as we progress. So it's not like it's going to continue and then that'll be like siloed or hidden away. That's going to be something which happens right out there. So there's the mock-up and the thought about what we'd be adding to Liquipedia on the match ticker. This allows us, so adding this and changing the way that we deal with betting partners allows us to upgrade our safety significantly for people who are involved in betting and people who come to our website in general, because of course we already are involved in betting. First of all, it allows us to make sure that people underage, to our very best ability, aren't able to view betting ads, not something we're currently protected against. Our leading thought on this right now is a pop-up to check if people are of age. I think that's the highest bar that we can possibly put up. Again, it's our leading thought right now, and if we find a higher bar, then we'll put that one up. We're leading this from a safety perspective. The next thing is safety by country. Here, the important thing here is that we're whitelisting countries which would be able to see the ad. The way that it works when you select which countries can see a specific piece of content, like an advert, is you get a list of IP addresses and countries assigned to them. Those lists can be incomplete. And so when you see an IP address that doesn't assign to a country, the important thing about whitelisting who sees the ad is that an IP address error will not result in somebody accidentally seeing the advert from the wrong place. We're erring in the direction of safety there. The third thing is safety through information, making sure that there's information about betting on the website. And then the final thing here is safety by preference. And that's just that users who don't want to see sports betting can just toggle them off in settings or with a toggle switch. Again, our leading thought there, if we can find a better, easier way to make sure that this isn't something which is just getting in your way, then we'll do it that way instead. So a lot of different ways that this enables us to make a safer space for everyone. And that's something we're thinking about. Of course, though, as well as that, it allows us to do a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a host of projects right now which are holding, waiting for budget to be able to push forward. Some of those relate to betting and making that space better, like the new API system, like other new features for the wiki. But other ones are just cool stuff that would make Liquipedia better, that would allow Liquipedia to continue to enjoy the very strong market position it currently has. And so, yeah, straightforwardly, that the extra budget that would come from this is a fantastic incentive. Is what I was trying to say. Harder to say that. Okay, so where are we now? Where are we aiming? What's in between? So that you guys can get a picture of what the process looks like here. And it is a process, and it's a conversation that we want to start. February the 13th, this is us now starting the conversation with you. And that conversation is ongoing and one we can continue to have. On the 19th, we're going to be launching a questionnaire. And this is going to, in part, be about betting, but actually just to be a questionnaire in general as well, about some other stuff. And the VOD from today will come out. And so we'll be able to, refer back to that. If there are people whose opinions, are quieter, then we'll find out about their opinions of all sorts of things too. The 28th right now is the date we're looking at for selecting a partner, for finding a partner for this. We have a number of offers already. March is the design period. I was going to add I don't know. I was trying to think of another thing to put next to that in the slide. By design period, what I mean is a communication period as well, and a point where we're going to be talking to the community, just as we did with affiliate linking, but over a longer period about what we are designing here and what works. April and May, quite broad at the moment, is the launch thought for the product. So in summary, shortly, there are some problems with how we do betting right now. We think we can do better, but to do better, we need some resources. Part of that, though, is being able to build this alliance and build this data sharing. A force with industry members, but also with betting partners. Put something together where we can really make an impact in the space. Part of that is an integration on Liquipedia, and we think that's a really strong and quite subtle way of putting that in there. And then, from there, introducing safety measures to patch things up, allowing those other benefits to grow, those other projects to start. And then, again, this is a conversation that we're starting this now. All right, so I'll leave that for now and pass back to Eric, and we can chat all about this, but also about other questions that you guys might have from across the presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, let's start the question corner. So if you have any questions, there's the PiddyCon channel on our Discord where you can go and post your questions. So I did see we had a bit of questions come in during the talk, and I did collect some of them. Adiko asked, will there be coffee and cookies after the panel is over? And the answer is very simply, if you have any, feel free to have them. If you don't have any, I don't see how you could, but it's up to you to do whatever you want. Toodle asked do you take intern? We have had an intern in the past. That was actually 2 interns. Oh, what am I saying? Picana was one of them. And definitely depends on what your skill set is, what you do an internship for, and if we have the bandwidth at the time. But you can always reach out to us and be like, hey, I want to do an internship in this, and we can be like, yes or no. Is it Picanha? I never know. What is the expected increase in the LP budget from integrating betting into LP? Would it be a 2x increase, 5x, or 10x from Adico? That's a pretty simple one. Do you want to take it, Ali?
Yeah, Candy. It's about 2x. Straightforwardly. The product obviously develops over time. Start off with a 2x and we can grow from there. But yeah, straightforwardly, it's a really decent impact.
Right. And second question, have other revenue streams been thought of outside of betting? If so, which ones and what pro cons do they have? To answer quickly, gear is definitely one of them. Gear linking, affiliate linking.
Yeah. Affiliate linking, to fill in there, is a really, really strong one. We think it's another one which we really want to focus on. The speed of spinning up gear linking is a little longer. So getting that one going and optimized to a state where it can really impact our budget in any meaningful way, it's probably going to take, at least a year, maybe even 2, and also a relatively good amount of budget. There are other thoughts that we have, definitely platform thoughts about localization, and this kind of stuff as well. I think those are some of the strongest areas where Liquipedia can expand. I mean, if you look at how big we are just in English right now, and imagine being able to move that out to other languages as well. But that's a big project, and one that we are starting work on, but it's a long way off.
Right. Another question, Maidan, on how are you gonna identify age? We haven't settled on this. We're probably going to all pop-up notification together, either together with a cookie question thing or a separate thing, but like that sort of size, asking you to say if you're 18, above 18 or above legal age in your country or below legal age in your country. And if you're not in a country where betting is legal, you're not going to get that at all, obviously. Second question from Maidana was, can we push for more affiliate links based on geolocation? Yeah, I mean, we are definitely working on that. Amazon is not the only company at the moment, but it's a lot of links. It takes a lot of time to find new partners in each country. There's something like 213 countries on this planet. Amazon caters to like 40 of them. So yeah, we do obviously want to work with lots of other companies, but it takes time to set up. It's just like very sort of thing. It takes days pretty much to do a new store. Right. I think that was an okay answer, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, to add on affiliate linking, I had a thought, and that was, it's about. I mean, we're working out the balance right now of sort of how we do affiliate linking. If we're going to add more content to the wiki with the intention of making money from it, then is it right for us to put that on the community, or is it better for us to make that an internal effort and something that we make an internal project out of? And that's something that we're sort of thinking about a lot right now and trying to work out the best strategy for. And it, obviously it depends on the value of the links, but it also depends on the amount of effort and work that goes into it. And so, yeah, it's strategy, but it's one of those projects which is we're looking at expanding on, but need a little bit more budget to get there with.
Right. I'll take one from the old questions as well, because I thought it was funny. Igarki asked, what was Sal's craziest idea so far? And I wouldn't say that any of my ideas are crazy, so none. I think Fo has a very different opinion on this, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least half of them are crazy anyways, if not crazy to the point of ridiculous. But I don't think I would want to, like, rank them there. Like, there's a lot of weird shit in there.
Okay, so you were saying there's nothing that was crazy to you as well. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Right. Adeko asked, in 2020, Liquipedia did a small page on comments about esports event that had been cancelled due to COVID-19. I wanted to know if that had given you any ideas on expanding, like a new style articles. In short, yes. we're especially thinking of using comments more to do this sort of like quick overview. Maybe not article style. Maybe though. Maybe we'll get some, but then we would have to hire some people to actually write for us. That's a whole nother setup, but maybe.
There's another thing to consider there, because if we do that, then we're getting in the territory that a lot of our partners that we get images from, for example, come from, and that's like a potential thing that we don't necessarily want to compete on. So it's like a lot of thinking involved in that.
Exactly. Question for Richie. What sort of procedures are there in the Alpha Wiki program to avoid losing on the history of scenes that are not westernized? For example, Age of Empire 1 has a big scene in Thailand SEA, which thankfully we know of and might be able to add into the AoE wiki. But do you think there might be similar niche country region scenes that might currently be going under the radar of LP? And if so, how do you find them?
That's actually a very hard question, but like we have similar issues with Counter-Strike, for example, where we had very old tournaments where we have no information about the qualifiers for, if I'm not wrong, WCG or I actually can't remember anyone, but the WCG had the local qualifiers, and a lot of them are basically lost in time because, well, websites went down and the qualifiers were held by different publisher or different group of people. So I think in general, it is nice to make effort and cover different regions and like SCA, China, and stuff like this. And in general, if the tournament is big enough, it is very likely that you can still find information, even if it's not like in Chinese websites. For example, for China, you're gonna probably find it somewhere else. So I think my answer is, in general, it's really great to put effort to make these kind of things work and happen. However, there's a point there is basically impossible. Same apply for, I think the best example for this is China. China is very hard to track for, in general, and especially for people that don't speak Chinese. And there's a big lack of VODs, for example, and it's, or once again, very hard to find them. So all in all, it's just a matter of going through the information, and if you find, great, add to the wiki. If not, that's a shame, and life goes on, basically. I hope that answers the question.
Cool. Right. PD merch. That's definitely something we're looking forward to. We thought it was going to happen last year. It didn't. I'm not exactly sure why it didn't happen last year, but we're still going to push for it this year. I still believe in it. I still believe in PD merch. That's not going to change. Fake Finn asked, could something like a common statistics page that combines statistics from all wikis be possible in the future, similar to esports earnings? Yes. It's not simple, but that's definitely something we want to do. Any other interesting questions? Right. Technical PvP asked, is there any move to make it so tournament host casters can have a global page, since we are seeing some working on multiple game broadcasts? Simple question is, that's possible today. You could make a template on Commons that allows you to share a lot of the data and then have like individual section links to the different wikis, saying like history in Warcraft, and it's a link to Warcraft, and then like a history in Brood War, and it's a link to Brood War, for example. That's not impossible at all. It's, you know, what you want to do with it. So that's there. Technically PvP also asked, will there be any addition to add a workflow to a wiki to allow multiple contributors to not step on each other? So I'm not sure how easy this is to make. Fo mentioned earlier that if you want to bring a feature idea to us, that's, you know, a great thing to do. And usually,
let me just chime in real quick. The core editing flow of the wiki is obviously part of MediaWiki, and as long as we're working with the MediaWiki, it's very hard for us to improve that too much. We're obviously pushing within the wider MediaWiki community, and Wikipedia itself obviously would also like better tools in that regard. So there's definitely some stuff we can do, but it's a slow process. It's not something we can do too quickly whilst we're depending on external software for the most part.
and yeah, like Fuse said, embrace the editing conflicts. Well, I think we have done some strides there since the early days. The new conflict handler is much nicer, for example. But I don't like, if you have like thoughts about how to solve this issue and what the problem actually is and how sort of to work around it, you can always bring us, you know, the ideas, whatever the problem and solution is. Do I see any more questions? If you have asked a question and I have missed it, feel free to.
Yeah, we saw
ask it again.
the when will you fix the issue with the ref automatically scrolling you down to the bottom of the page instead of opening the ref pop-up, to which the answer is soon. We have identified the issue, we fixed the issue, but at the moment we're not deploying the fix because the skin is already prepared for the next MediaWiki upgrade. And that's basically the only holdup. So as soon as we get the MediaWiki upgrade, that will be fixed. Also, I saw in the case of the betting project, like if that goes live, can we exclude smaller tournaments or tours that are not improving betting on it? Particularly, a lot of grassroots TO might not be happy if there is betting odds on their match. I saw that in this court. Someone asked, in the case of the betting project, if it goes live, can we exclude smaller tournaments or tours that do not approve betting on it? Particularly, that person thinks that grassroots TOs sometimes will not be happy if there's odds on their matches.
Thank you, Richie. In my defense on the meeting, I have to unmute myself twice. But anyway, okay, I'll say it again. And that is that the question was basically asking, you know, can we do this on a partner by partner basis? Can we, you know, for some organizers, can we not have odds on their stuff? The answer is we're able to build this betting integration in whichever way we want to build it. And if that's a concern which comes up through the design process, if that's something that, you know, while we're building it, when we talk to people, becomes a problem, then yeah, I mean, 100% we can do something around that. I'm not sure that I foresee that being a huge problem, but at the same time, you know, this is why we're making it a conversation, why we're having a process and, you know, collecting feedback as we go, because things like this, you know, may well come up. So yes, is the short answer.
Right. Let's see. Adiko asked, what is the current legal battles that LP is working through? What are some of the troubles you have found yourself in recent years? Most of the stuff we deal with is copyright. So I've I've had to learn a lot about copyright law. It's very boring, actually. People use our content without giving proper credit. That's obviously not along okay along our guidelines or the license we have. So that's not okay. So that needs to be like sent out reminders that, hey, stop doing this. That's probably the bulk of it. We've had issues with a player this summer who wasn't, or rather this autumn, who wasn't very happy about the updates on their page due to the Me Too wave of things that happened this summer. Who pretty much wanted to send their lawyer on us. So that's also a thing. Image copyright also pops up all the time in the other direction where people tell us not to use their images. I mean, HLTV is probably the biggest one, although that wasn't really a legal battle, technically. I don't think we've had any proper legal battles. There's nothing ever coming to the point where it's super difficult to deal with in that sense. Right, and Fuse asked, do you foresee any negative impact from just the negative connotations of being involved with betting, safe or not? And
Yeah, I can jump in if you like.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why we're having this conversation. It's about working out what the right way to do it is, what the Liquipedia way of doing it is, and shaping that to who we are as a website. Are there negative connotations to betting? Yeah, I mean there are some, especially around advertising betting to people who are vulnerable to it and to minors. There are groups that really need to protect around this kind of stuff. At the same time, there are lots of people who have very healthy relationships with betting, and they're very large businesses. So yeah, it's about finding the right way for us, and that's the process we're on right now.
right, and Carla asked, will Liquipedia get integrity information from these upcoming betting partnerships that will help with removing shady lower tier tournaments from the site? Yes, that is one of the cornerstones of what we want to get out of betting partnership and why we want to work with high integrity, big name, well established, secure betting companies, and that they will really want to spearhead a better ecosystem for betting within esports. We think that I don't know if you saw this, but it was on Brood War, like live stream chat show thing, not too many days ago, talking about all the match fixing that was going on back in the day in Brood War, and that was rampant. And it's very difficult in an unregulated scene to regulate things. And obviously, Korea, all betting is illegal. So that definitely doesn't make it simpler. So we hopefully can be, like, one of the things we think we can take away from this is that having this kind of partnership will allow us to promote a healthy ecosystem when it comes to betting, and not like skin gambling and all of that sort of stuff where it's no age restriction, even though it is technically real world currencies through virtual items. May Dinon asked, will we also have a survey from visitors who are not contributors on the opinion of betting integration? Yes, maybe. It's definitely a possibility we have discussed. Would take a little bit of time to set up the like a Survey Monkey or something like that to do it justice. Adiko asked, new PiddyCon when? No.
Whoa, PiddyCoin, not PiddyCon.
Yeah, PiddyCoin. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. I meant PiddyCoin. And the answer is no to that one.
Even though, for the record, I've tried to get him to make another level, but he is like not working with me.
If I remember correctly, except your bot, there's 3 people who's on the next coin level after
and
4
they're
diamonds.
losing motivation. We need more coins.
Okay,
My
Alex.
bot is losing motivation.
As you are, I'm here together with 2 of the people who have this. That's Alex is one of them, and Richie is the other one. Then there's a third person who's not staff member. who has a coin. They might obviously lose motivation, but as far as I've seen, they don't get motivated by having really high tier of coins. So
another question we got was from Golden Game. Will the League of Legends API be similar with the Valorant API? Parenthesis, putting the name of the summoner to get his match. Short answer, we try to get all the game integration APIs to the same level, and basically whatever features we like most from any of them, we'll want to implement on all the others of those, basically. So yes.
Right. I don't know. Do we have any more questions? I think we're gonna with them. Oh, someone asked if there will not be a VOD. There will be a VOD. I think it was said just earlier as well. It will be up before the questionnaire, I think, rather than at the exact same time of it. It will be on YouTube, most likely, because why not? So yeah. And yeah, I mean, if you have a really, really good idea for what you think the next PiddyCon, not con, should be, feel free to send me a message with like a weird mock-up or just like a mood board of what you think it should be, and we can look at it.
Adiko has asked, recently template updates was created to share new templates from Wiki A to B, and they wanted to know if there are bigger plans to expand on that sharing. Who wants to take it?
I think that's either me or Richie, but I can. Are we planning on expanding how we like having updates about new templates? Hopefully we'll see that this works well first. There's obviously some, like growing pains with anything we try to do. I'm not sure how well it has worked so far because there's not been too many posts there yet. But hopefully it's a really good way to keep people updated to what's going on with templates, because just the template chat is obviously not just announcements. So it's, for all the people interested in templating, I think it's a very important step to take.
Trev has asked if you could wish for a new feature, what would that be? No cop-out answers that include things we are already working on. He wants to hear crazy Saleh ideas, but also interested about the others. To which I'll go first. I want to get rid of MediaWiki. I want to write our own wiki software. And Eric is aware of that, but so far I couldn't quite convince him yet.
So this is the best thing, right? Alex keeps on saying my ideas are crazy. This is an idea he has had from the first day he came to work at Lycopedia. It's like, I want to write MediaWiki. We should have our own wiki platform. It's like, okay.
Just for the record, I don't think that's a crazy idea. I think that would actually make a lot of things a lot easier down the road.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy in the scope. It's not crazy in the like what it solves. But that I think is the same thing with my crazy ideas usually.
I think going back a bit to Adiko's question about templates update, the idea was mostly a lot of new templates were coming up or are still coming up, and we have, for example, Spazer, Trev, Rathos, Armabot, and so on, a lot of people working on new templates and new features for their wikis. So it was basically a way to so these people could bring the information and gather all together in a channel. So because sometimes you bring a new idea and a new feature to your game, your wiki, and this idea could be really useful in other wikis, and sometimes they get lost in the void of all information from all of our channels on Lycopedia Discord server. So yeah, it's just another way to help gather information and perhaps even help standardize everything. Because instead of making a new template, you can just reuse something that was already built for that.
Right. Also, Richie, you have to answer what crazy idea do you have from Trav?
What crazy idea do I have? I have no idea. My ideas are not crazy, similarly to Eric's ideas. So I don't know. I can't answer this question, I guess.
Okay. What ideas do you have then? If they're not crazy.
Liquipedia beta wikis? No, I'm joking. I don't know. I don't.
Okay. I mean, alpha beta makes sense. Ali, do you have any crazy ideas or ideas you want to share?
Only crazy ones. I think chess wiki.
You put it out there. You said it. It's out there in the world.
It's out there in the world.
Wow.
Do with it what you will.
I mean, so what do I have as crazy ideas? Match pages, like a specific page with a match with like nice graph statistics about the match itself, historically and upcoming for both. Maybe even like a match score updater tool thing on mobile, so it's a little bit easier. Although that's a discussion I have to win against Alex, because he's like, no, Wizard Week is death. And I'm like, but I want like an external tool that just is super easy on mobile, because mobile is becoming a big thing.
I didn't pay attention. What was that?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay.
You have to watch the VOD later to catch that one. Okay. How does Team Liquid hierarchy view Liquipedia? Oh, this is from Laos, by the way. Do they still have oversight, or are we just on our own now? They definitely are involved. We have a weekly meeting. Well, I have more than one weekly meeting. We have weekly meetings with head of technology at Team Liquid, and quarterly updates at the very least with the whole company, and a little bit more often so with one of the co-CEOs. So they are definitely still in oversight. They still very much pay attention to what we're doing. They still want us to succeed and want to help us in different ways, and tell us what to do. Sometimes, like with Valorant, it wasn't just us decision. It was like, you guys really should get on this. We can't say why, but you really should. So we were like, okay. Also, we thought, Riot, good people. Can X is asked, can players who are known from old games like Call of Duty 2, 4, I'm not really sure what 2, 4 is, skipped 3 maybe, get verified badge on their Liquipedia account from games of less activity to these days? Alex already answered this and said yes.
That's what he meant.
Sorry, what? 2.4?
Call of Duty 4. That's what he meant.
So an and, not a comma. I see.
So what's the question? What's the answer? Sorry.
Yes, if they give Alex their user account details.
Technically, any staff can do it, right?
Yes. Favorite pizza.
We also have
something with.
I'm sorry. I'm just.
No, go ahead.
We also have
Pizza's not that important.
Mojo that is verified, and he's verified for Painkiller, and a lot of people have no idea that Painkiller is actually a game. So that could arguably be an argument, I guess. I'm sorry, Mojo.
Maidanon said, I also kind of want more official way to contact TO and players that we come from Liquipedia. Now, sometimes I gotta ask, who are you from TOs?
They are always going to ask you, who are you? But what do you feel would be a good solution here? How would you feel like you could present yourself to a TO and show that you are like legitimate Wikipedia contributor? Like, do we have like a verified Twitter account of these people? So you have to link your Twitter account or whatever when you talk to them. Again, we're not gonna discuss this right now, but feel free to come at us with ideas for this problem as well, like full-fledged out the complete problem and like some scope of the ideas you have around a solution, and we can definitely discuss it more. And there's very few people. Xs said, yeah, he doesn't really want to spam us in DMs. People claiming they're famous or notable. I mean, it's pretty simple to
just
check
bring
if
it
they
up
are.
in admin requests anyways, right? Like any staffer can add that to an account. It's true.
It is true.
Fleshinat / FNC Pacha has been asking Liquipedia X Naruto when.
No.
What?
Sadly, or
It's direct.
greatly, I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of Naruto, but I don't see what the partnership would bring. I mean, it just crashes your site, doesn't it? That's what happened to the TL store yesterday. Just crashed.
Yeah. Then we have a question from Maidan on, do we have any plans for people to donate like opencollective.com or something like that?
No, but yes, but no.
We've looked at it. I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, donate in the same way that they donate to say Wikipedia, and yeah, we're looking at it. I mean, I think it's a good thought. It just works out. You know, it's always about what's appropriate and what fits.
The problem is if.
Go
ahead.
No,
Okay.
I was going to the next question, so you can go ahead first.
Yeah, the problem is there is every 30 days there's over 2,000 people contributing to the wiki. How do you determine how to divide that kind of thing up between people if we were to give donations straight to contributors? Or how can you? It's not like a Patreon where you can say like, oh, here's what I will be doing if you subscribe to my Patreon. To individual contributors even, but I mean, at the moment, there's nothing preventing anyone to set up their own Patreon and do that. But there's nothing we can really get involved with either, because at some point we become an employer. And if there's one thing I know, it's that hiring people from a multitude of countries across continents, etc., and on like a per, like not a contract basis, but like per performance basis payout is exceedingly difficult. And we would need a massive amount of paid tax attorneys to deal with this. There's almost no way this is possible. So we can't really get involved in it.
And we have the next question from Blackfirek, who asks, are there any components that you guys would like to see moved to the commons? To which I would say the answer is straight, anything that you can move, please move it. Like if it makes sense on commons, we want it on commons.
I set up a spreadsheet 3 weeks ago, just trying to start getting a grasp on all the SMW templates we have. And if we look at like in a matrix sort of way, how many different templates there are, there's over, I think it was over 500 or something like that. So yes, everything that can be moved to commons, we want to move to commons when it makes sense.
Yeah, we have all this SMW to LPDB thing going on. It is a big project because it involves a lot of wikis. I mean, we have a lot of wikis, and a lot of wikis have the same templates set differently. So you basically need to go through all of them one by one. And the idea is to make so it works not only like the LPDB integration works well, but it also works directly from Commons. So we don't have to have multiple templates like around and having issues with them multiplying and this sort of things.
Well, I think we're not going to answer any Ocho questions, so sorry for that. But how do you think social media presence on Twitter, etc., can be improved and better coordinated between separate wiki accounts and the main Liquipedia account? Seeing the main wiki account and CS, for example, often do the same tweets for large events. I don't think that's like an interesting question.
So, simply, we are sadly going to have to say goodbye to Picana as our social media manager. However, we're in the process of hiring another one, and it will be their job to make sure that not too many things get overlapped with two different tweets, but rather like using retweets, because obviously that's much more powerful. So that's something that will be on their plate. Also, just more communication, hopefully. So we will hopefully be able to expand that role a little bit from what Hugo was able to bring, and in time. So that's how we will do it. Because as I showed in I don't know, one of my slides at least, Twitter is definitely working to bring in more viewers. It definitely does work, and so we do think it's worth investing more into. And I think
Let's take the Adiko question, then let's wrap it up after that.
yeah,
I think.
that was what I was going to say as well. Last question is the Adiko question. What percentage of the global esports audience would you guess LP reaches at the moment? What realistic percent would you want LP to reach in, say, the next 5 years? Depending on geo, it's really difficult to say. When we look at other like companies like Newsu, who does esports audience tracking, in certain geos we are larger than what they think. So Finland and Sweden, for example, we're over 100%. I think the same is true in India. We're also larger, like we have more reach, but I think it's something around like 30% of English, or like 20%. If my memory serves me right, Ali, do you remember better?
Yeah, it depends on the region, as Eric says. We have really good market penetration in Europe, in English-speaking countries, as you can imagine. It goes down a little bit when you get to countries which speak less English, and that's something we're looking at doing something about. But yeah, it's I would say that 30% mark is about right. It really depends how you define esports fans as well. Do you define it as gaming fans? Then the pond becomes a lot bigger suddenly. Do you talk about people who just like esports? A bit more, so it's a difficult question to answer with a one-liner. But yeah, what Eric says, I quite agree with.
Right. So thank you all for coming and asking questions and listening to us ramble on for almost 2 hours. With this, we would like to wrap up. And if you have any more questions, obviously feel free to ask them. Discord is always there. We might or might not answer as per usual, but like hopefully we can give you an answer. Well,
yeah,
thank you.
just quickly answering the Ocho wiki that was mentioned. We're not dodging. I don't think people just.
We need to dodge it. We need to dodge it.
Okay. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I think it is something that could happen, perhaps. However, not using the Ocho, because that would lead to copyright issues, because the Ocho is for sure copyrighted. So that could be a thing that could go under potential new wikis. Please don't spam it. And I'm always happy to talk about new wikis. That's all I can say about it.
Okay, that was the last question answered. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
All right. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.